My name is...
What?
My name is...
Who? My name is...
Slim Shady is a profound alter ego of rapper Eminem.
My hat looks like a normal one, yours looks fucking weird. I'm still wondering, are you and Jake queer?
In fact, you may recognize Eminem by the character and not his legally trademarked stage name. Eminem, the guy, needs no introductory, but some of his statistics and history do. The alter ego of Slim Shady being a comically violent and outrageous persona. It is often explicitly clarified if Eminem is rapping as Slim Shady or himself, whether it would be from a lyric or album title. The differentiation is utilized as a satirical vehicle for exploring more sensitive subject matter. To assure Marshall Mathers III, the actual guy, is clarifying to the audience that he does not condone the described behavior, taking a villainous alter ego for an extra step to clarify what and what isn't satirical commentary, the character often not being utilized for serious social commentary. At the time, this was viewed as an innovative method of distinguishization. Did Eminem invent the concept of going full Pee Wee Herman on the beat? No, not even close. But he did make alter egos a more respectable act of a profession.
Now I am Slim Shady. I'm going to fuck your lady.
Taking extra efforts to establish when it's a joke or to create narratives. NWA might have been highly exaggerative and is the reason we're allowed to swear all the time in music today, but there was never a narrative effort to assure they didn't condone the behavior, such as killing law enforcement. You can still tell if it's a joke, but the contributors are referred to by their actual legal stage names. Slim Shady allowed a distinctive split for author's purpose and tone. This villain is truly heartless! Some may consider Eminem to be the greatest rapper of all time, and he is the most commercially successful rapper of all time. Even rap music was stolen by the white man. And in 2023, he surpassed Led Zeppelin as the 10th best-selling artist of all time. But this consensus and statistics raise the question, is he actually the greatest rapper of all time?
You ain't got a curse to be a dope rapper. Most of these dudes is Johnny Depp's. Good actors.
If you ask me, no, not even close. Not one of the best to ever do it. Not even top 30. That might have gotten you jumped 20 years ago, but I don't think it's that unpopular of a consensus today. Perhaps he was kind of a fad with substance for once, like he was overhyped in his prime, but not because he was bad in general, which is not common. Now, I'm gonna get some shit for this, but I personally do not consider him one of the greatest recording artists or rappers of all time. And I don't think it's an unpopular opinion to say that there is a massive discrepancy between good Eminem and bad Eminem. What could be considered good and bad is extremely debatable, but only the most insane dick riders say that he has no bad projects whatsoever despite remaining active. The most common consensus I have personally heard, and one I agree with, is that the second, third, and fourth commercially released projects were the great ones. Although the order is debatable because 1996's Infinite is not officially digitally available outside of its title track, many arguing that this project is professional but it is not commercial. It's not a mixtape because it is polished and original material, but it's not commercially available enough to be considered a legitimate album, arguably. It was independently released and has since entered copyright hell, and what little commercial traction it did get was initially unsuccessful. So if this counts as a mainline discography project between fans is debatable. Hell, it could even be considered album 0. So that's subsequently gonna lead people to argue that the first 3 or second, third, and fourth, depending on your order, were the best. Speaking of the first 3 or second, third, and fourth, depending on your ordering preferences, the Slim Shady LP in 1999, the Marshall Mathers LP in 2000, and the Eminem Show in 2002 are the only fantastic full-length projects, if you ask me. And even the people who like his material outside of these 3 likely agree that this was the peak of quality for the discography. Because not peak doesn't mean bad, but it's still not the best there is to offer. The rest of the discography is often regarded under varying levels of flawed. Hell, I've heard people say he's the only artist that has a definitive album for every letter grade, ranging everywhere from fine to how the fuck did this get past quality control, what the fuck? And I swear this perception around his quality as an artist is relevant because it was crucial to his public image. Whatever you personally consider good Eminem and bad Eminem to be, there's a good chance that the bad outweighs the good. And if you only hear the bad stuff, which statistically you're more likely to, just from sheer quantity, it might just leave a bad taste in your mouth in general over the guy. In fact, that used to be my opinion of him. I just hadn't heard any of his actually good material, because so much of it is dog shit.
Now, I will admit I'm a little biased because I find fucking kidney stones more pleasant than Eminem, but this entire show...
To suggest that he has one of the most stacked discographies is insane dick riding, but the good stuff is still good. And even if he drops another disposable project, whatever people consider good Eminem will always be cherished. But I don't think 3 unforgettable albums is enough of the quality and quantity balance necessary to be considered one of the greatest of all time, whether a rapper or a recording artist. Like, 3 beloved albums doesn't mean that he's bad in general at all, but to be the best of the best in an entire art medium or genre or history, yeah, that's a stretch. Hey, that's still better than Snoop Dogg's one beloved album. He might be the most famous, but that's because he'll only do any random bullshit for money. It's impressive that with only 3 beloved albums and 9 other albums with varying reception that he gave Frank Sinatra a run for his money with his 59 albums and Elton John a run for his money with his 32 albums. But to reach that quantity and quality balance, it better be in the double digits or pretty damn close to it if you're crowning somebody. So despite having an exceptional prime, no doubt, roughly from 1999 to 2004, commonly argued, he is kind of a joke today. He is a mixed bag artist that eventually resulted in a mixed bag consensus of a career. Shock G's alter ego Humpty Hump will always be better than Slim Shady, and I will take that to the grave. Look at his nose. So yeah, Eminem is a deeply flawed artist, no doubt. How flawed? Extremely debatable, but undoubtedly flawed, unless you're an insane dick rider. Well, what if this undoubtedly flawed artist was involved in a project so bad that only the most insane dick riders of insane dick riders defend it, and it wasn't an album?
Say, look at this. I've been cleaning out my nest, and I found an old book of my poetry.
I'm Slim Shady, yes, I'm the real Shady, and look at Kim Shady, she just got degraded by some bird shit. Yes, bird shit, she ate it with her lips beyond.
Well, you get the 2000 animated web series The Slim Shady Show, not to be confused with the 2002 album of The Eminem Show. The gimmick of the album being that the songs are presented as a public spectacle like a TV show, but on an audio medium of a rap album. No shit, Sherlock. But nobody seems to remember the animated web series that was much closer to the actual concept of an actual Eminem show. And if you decide to include internet animation as a fair comparison to television animation, then The Slim Shady Show is easily the worst animated series ever made, and I am not fucking exaggerating. It is a damn close third place behind the Lovettes and Life with Grandpa, if you know what I'm talking about. I am not fucking exaggerating. If you're like 70 years old, Marshall Mathers is Eminem's legal name, and it is a well-known legal name for celebrities whose professional stage name doesn't feature any of the same words as the legal name standards, I guess. The legal name of Marshall Mathers is often referenced in his music when attempting to be more introspective and not going full Pee Wee Herman on the beat, regardless of what the commercial stage name says. And yes, I know the Eminem references the MNM initials while also trying to hold an unorthodox spelling to avoid a legal complication and general confusion with the candy owned by Mars the Candy Company, not the planet or sailor. 5 stars, Linkara approved. It is worth noting that a childhood ambition of Marshall Mathers was specializing in comic book visual arts, even if he pursued the recording arts as an adult. meaning that Mathers had a contextually unorthodox influence of comic book visuals. He didn't necessarily commit to it regularly, combining the two like MF Doom or its inferior ripoff he collaborated with Czarface. But throughout Eminem's catalog, there's plenty of inconsequential comic book references. But enough of his unprofessional illustrating work has surfaced over the years, and he no doubt took the Jack Kirby art replication process very seriously. Apparently, childhood favorites included Spider-Man and the Punisher. And Spider-Man often has an urban, or as the nerds say, street-level settings in conflicts, and the Punisher is a famously more violent, street-level anti-hero. And the settings and personalities of these two characters could have encouraged incorporating shock value in canonically low-class settings into his storytelling found on Eminem albums. There's also been a ton of inconsequential references both in lyrics and music videos, although definitely more Marvel than DC, most recognizably having an old-school Robin parody outfit under the alias Rap Boy in the music video for Without Me in 2002, and returning in Houdini in 2024. And given Eminem's street cred in pop culture, and not just actual street cred, he was able to collaborate with Marvel a multitude of times. Who could forget the stupid-ass Venom theme song? Definitely the second biggest joke targeted at Eminem in recent years, the first being his support of the NFT economy when that was still a thing. But Venom, 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 Venom. That movie theme song is fucking hilariously bad. The greatest rapper of all time, folks. You might have seen an image floating around of Spider-Man standing in confusion in opposition to Eminem. Yeah, that's not a shitpost with a ton of time put into it. That's an actual comic book cover. Its shitpost status only increasing its worth as a collector's item on top of being a celebrity crossover. Hell, Eminem and the Punisher have officially teamed up, and Tony Stark even visited Marshall Mathers' childhood home. A lesser recognized female Spider-Man, Silk, is canonically an Eminem fan, and Gwen Z is trying to cancel her clearly. Eminem, no doubt, loves old school superhero comics, and that's a love for a visual art, despite being a debatable master at a recording art. So it's not surprising at some point he wanted to or agreed to making a visual art, that being an animated web series in 2000, when Eminem was still arguably at the height of his career. The Slim Shady Show dropping in October of 2000, apparently, not long after the beloved Marshall Mathers LP in May. Oh yeah, some sources say that the show also came out in 2001. I don't know if that refers to the whole catalog or just some episodes, but regardless, Eminem was still at the height of his career unanimously. The show was created by Marshall Mathers III, but there are also some additional production credits for Paul Rosenberg and Stuart Parr. Rosenberg is Eminem's manager and a former CEO of the renowned Def Jam Recordings. Rosenberg has made appearances on album skits under just his first name Paul, and has a self-titled skit in the Eminem Show album, and has been mentioned by other rappers. That's a name you've probably heard if you like any public affiliate of Eminem or Def Jam. Stuart Parr was a producer for other Eminem stuff like live concert DVDs, as well as 8 Mile and 50 Cent's Get Rich or Die Tryin' the movie. But Parr doesn't really have any notable credits outside of production on non-album hip-hop media. So did Marshall not think to get some consultancy from somebody who, I don't know, maybe made a cartoon? He's fucking Eminem in his prime. He can clearly afford top-shelf animation producers. What the fuck is your manager doing co-producing this cartoon? You know, yeah, I'm sure he watched some Daffy Duck growing up, but what the fuck does he know about cartoons? Look, I get the trio are probably all friends, and Rosenberg, no doubt, has a nice ring to it. That's why it's been used in songs, but talent managing and Def Jam managing really isn't a creative job. I mean, like, at least they got a guy that helped on some other Eminem and 50 Cent visual media, which I guess is a visual art, but not really animation. Okay, well, there is like one person with a somewhat professional animation portfolio involved in this show. Mark Brooks, who would go on to direct some episodes of Adult Swim's Metalocalypse. Oh, okay, that's something. He also directed a failed pilot titled The New VIPs, which Amazon Prime released as a short. This was a part of a streaming campaign where Amazon released a bunch of pilots. Spoilers, it's fucking Brickleberry, but with like an office job setting and a little bit of cop Brickleberry. It fucking sucks. So I guess this animated show does in fact have an experienced animation director, except the director is just an executioner. And yeah, a lot of the time creators also write and direct and whatnot, but the only person with an animation background just directed and didn't lay the groundwork for anything else. Like, at the very least, Mark Brooks could have been a creative consultant. Due to the Slim Shady show being an early internet show, a lot of its information has been lost to time or was just never available to begin with. As the title suggests, it loosely adapts the Slim Shady character and universe for an episodic format in a visual medium, a more direct approach to storytelling. Adapting a universe you have to put together through cues on albums. On top of the Slim Shady alter ego, the show would also include a prepubescent Marshall Mathers, both simultaneously existing, which isn't supposed to be questioned because it's a cartoon, why the hell not? And it's not actually a bad idea for executing the exaggerative nature and massive discrepancy between Slim Shady, the fictional character, and Marshall Mathers, the actual guy. The show would also adapt the character of Ken Kniff, a homosexual prank caller. The character was created and originally portrayed by underground Detroit rapper Aristotle. However, due to inferable disagreements of the comedy act's representation, Marshall himself would take over for the voice of the character on future appearances. These conflicts are inferable because Aristotle would release the mixtape of The Ken Kniff Show in 2002, in which the character is confirmed to be a pedophile. The project obviously parodying 2002's The Eminem Show, the most recent project at the time. Many of Aristotle's projects are considered lost media from its lack of commercial releases, with minimal copies being printed. Some have yet to been digitized by an owner, and minimally produced media not available online is commonly hoarded by collectors or possessed by those unaware of its lack of digitalization or rarity. So I'm gonna assume Aristotle was only selling like underground tapes at swap meets. But this Eminem diss album hasn't been lost to time, and Aristotle is no doubt immortalized by his connections to a much more beloved figure. And obviously it is unknown if Aristotle ever saw the portrayal of Ken Kniff in the Slim Shady show. If you ask me, the voice change between Ken Kniff isn't super noticeable because the voice is super exaggerated, and the less human it is and the more exaggerated it is, the easier it is to replicate. After the Slim Shady LP, other appearances of Ken included a self-titled skit on the Marshall Mathers LP, Curtains Close on the Eminem Show, Underground on Relapse, Wicked Ways on the Marshall Mathers LP2, and Guess Who's Back on the Death of Slim Shady, as well as some other unreleased material and promotional tape exclusive songs and skits, such as Cock Massage from the Slim Shady LP promo tape, Tylenol Island, an unfinished leak featuring Missy Elliott and Timbaland, the skits Man with a Van and Rex from the Marshall Mathers LP snippet tape. Yeah, I guess Ken Kniff was the unofficial spokesman for promo tapes, as well as I Kissed a Boy, a juvenile parody of Katy Perry's I Kissed a Girl.
Kissed a boy and I liked it. Taste of his hairy fat dick. I kissed the boy and
From the unreleased project Before the Relapse, a collaboration with DJ Hayes and DJ Capcom. So by far, the most prominent secondary fictional character in the Slim Shady verse would be included for the Slim Shady animated series. Some original characters would also be created for the ensemble, including Big D, a token black guy. Now, Eminem has the N-word pass, no doubt, but does he have the visual N-word pass? Yeah, probably, but he didn't use it sparingly.
Crime, racism. Subject, African Americans.
Big D would also be Slim Shady's partner in crime, I guess, often encouraging Slim's behavior to Marshall Mathers' disapproval. Oh, and like 90% of his dialogue is screaming for no reason.
Don Johnson CDs! The fuck? Throw that shit out!
Big D also has a younger brother, mother, and father with like one scene each, and they're all the same character. There's also the token stoner Dave and the token girl Susan, often nicknamed Sue.
Yeah, you know, with like every animated series ever, I always feel like there's that one motherfucker that will not stop posting about that one female character. The fucking receptionist from fucking A Wobot's Christmas. Sure, okay, whatever. Sky's the limit when you don't give a shit. Susan is the first girl character in fiction to be nobody's waifu. The design is that bad. You ever seen somebody thirsting over this obscure female character? No, that's how bad she is.
So what misadventures do they get up to? Well, first, let's talk about the elephant in the room. This has some of the worst art direction in any visual art ever. In fact, that's probably why Susan is nobody's waifu. Now, the show canonically takes place in Detroit, Michigan, Mather's hometown and one of the biggest shitholes in America if you're not from the States.
We're not Detroit! We're not Detroit!
So obviously, with a canonically low-class setting, the environment shouldn't look pretty. Oh wait, it's a cartoon. It has to be strategically gritty, balancing the social class to get the point across, but still be watchable visually. But this show has zero strategy in being visually grotesque, and shit without strategy is just shit. Like, I cannot believe how repulsive this is. There's like 3 fucking colors. It's like gunmetal gray, puke green, and shit brown. The big 3 of bad video game graphics, except this isn't a game. Like, where did they get these fucking color shades from? Why are they so dark? Did they just want to save time by not shading colors and just getting darker shades? Look, I've never used the technology that the show was likely made on, well, because I wasn't alive. But something tells me they didn't take like 10 seconds to add a second black layer and then cranking the black's opacity down just to get a darker shade and just fucking darken the whatever. At least in my day, that's like 10 seconds per swatch. Come to think of it, maybe they pulled up the standard American color hex and sorted through all 16 million different shades and specifically devised every shade and compromised it down to the most puke shades and primary and secondary colors in reference to the standard color palette. Hell, they probably named the fucking swatch collection Suffocating Infants for shits and giggles. On the DVD cover, the sky is the same color as the ground. The coloring, at least on an exaggerative principle, kind of reminds me of like Good Simpsons, but like none of that Brad Bird precision, you know, just negative 10%. The character designs of Slim Shady and Marshall Mathers especially are so disproportionate. It looks like everybody's hairline is receding, the foreheads are so damn close to the same amount of space as the facial features. Like, was the face shape just fucking duplicated and merged with the heads? Now, I'm not gonna hate on comically disproportionate designs. Stuff like Fairly Odd Parents around the same time had way larger head than the bodies, but there's enough thought to the point where it doesn't look like fucking Big Mouth.
You know what, Cosmo and Wanda?
What, Timmy?
Out of all the wishes I've ever made, there's one thing I've always wished I'd wished for.
What's that, Timmy?
I wish the great state of Israel had 20 billion more dollars.
I'm Crisp, the Crisp new cereal from outer space.
J. Ward Studios back in the day was honestly the fucking king at comical disproportionate character designs. God damn it, they need to make Captain Crunch look like this again. Intentional disproportion can be very charming, but it requires strategy. And if there isn't charm to it, then I don't find it appealing. There's no charm in these characters' disproportions, it's just ass proportions. Why is Slim Shady's head so fucking detailed? Like, I get there was a real face you could reference, but why did you have to put every fucking facial attribute on it? Jesus Lord! Now, given Marshall Mathers' comic book influence, it's likely that there was an attempt to combine comic book standards and 2000s digital animation standards, or slash standards of the era. And I don't know about you, but I am a 2000s-ish thick outline, simple geometry, cartoon character supremacist. Fuck Bean Mouth, fuck that Chuck E. Cheese CGI shit. Fuck those 80s cartoons where the human characters aren't cartoonish at all. I do love the charmingly disproportionate shit of the 60s and 70s, second place, but still fuck them. Old school Hanna-Barbera has some fantastic simplistic designs, but they can get very repetitive in the grand scheme of things, so fuck them, third place. Simple shape, thick outline circa Y2K was the best industry standard of an era for televised animation. What the fuck, Jamie Hewlett? I thought they were supposed to be cartoon characters. In terms of appreciable simplicity and anatomical diversity, 2000s-ish digital animation was the peak. And I bring this up because doing something adjacent to this is what the Slim Shady show was trying to do, because it came out in 2000, of course. Which is a fine intention to get with the time, but I don't think Eminem wanted it to look like it was like 20 years old in 2000. Like Robot Jones having like 70s animation in 99 for some reason. Geez, whatever happened to that guy? In that case, it's a good thing. You don't have to get with the times to create an appealing art style. But if you don't put effort into getting with the times, then it looks like this. Look, I don't think Marshall Mathers grew up with the peak of televised animation standards because that's how calendars work. But despite Marshall Mathers' illustration background, it's unknown how much of a role he had in developing this show's art direction. But regardless, he, a formal amateur visual artist, had to have approved of this art direction at some point. I get it, Marvel Comics was an intended hustle of his and not the Powerpuff Girls, well, because that didn't exist yet. But how did he ever approve of this? Like, did he not just fucking care? Does he have better things to do? Yeah, actually, probably. He's gotta go record the Venom theme song at noon. Venom, 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 Venom.
Gravity Falls, and guess what? You fell. If I can say that you got kidnapped, I can't even...
Okay, actually, the much more beloved rap drama 8 Mile starring Eminem released in 2002, but had allegedly been in production since 2000. So maybe on Mathers' non-solo studio album production schedule, he was just way more focused on 8 Mile, and it shows.
Alright, now let's get to the real rhymes. Yeah. Yo, my name is Garfield, and I'm number one. I have a really cool movie, and it's really fun. I like doing crack, cocaine, and bitches, and when I see crack, I get off my britches. Hey you're a fool. I never really had to attend school because of the fact that I'm a real fat cat, and you know where it's at because I'm like, aw snap, that's right, it's me, Garfield bitch. Everybody knows that I get the stitch, but not like that stupid fucker from that Disney film. Every time I see that bitch, I'll kill him with the krill. I mean like actual krill. I throw krill at Stitch and he fucking dies. Hold on a second, I need to get some more of that.
And again, the Marshall Mathers LP was fairly new when this show apparently released. And it is a cartoon. Cartoons inevitably require outsourcing, so who says that Eminem just couldn't pop in and out of the booth whenever absolutely necessary? The art direction is an incredibly poorly compromised combination of 2000s Cartoon Network and Jack Kirby. These look like fucking monsters from Courage the Cowardly Dog. The only real comic book thing about the detail is the designs, which don't mesh well with the Cartoon Network backgrounds. Except it's not even like a good Cartoon Network, it's just a bunch of fucking scribble-scrabble. And I know that's the point, it's Detroit, it should look like shit, but this is not pleasant dog shit. How is this a love letter to Detroit? It's the visual equivalent of being blackout drunk. At that point, intoxication isn't hilarious. Again, part of me thinks they took a bunch of lighting shortcuts with the ambition of ill-lit scenarios. The movement is incredibly janky and limited. It was likely attempting to replicate early South Park's minimal movement. South Park's 2 precursor shorts and the official series pilot were animated with construction paper, but everything after was digitally animated. Seasons 1 through 4 being used on Power Animator. During Season 5 in 2001, the crew switched to Autodesk Maya. The choppy movements in the Maya era being a lot more fluid. Like, look at the way that the heads bounce in, like, the Maya era. It happens, like, every couple microseconds as opposed to, like, every full second. Slim Shady was clearly attempting to replicate the janky movements of South Park's Power Animator animation. But South Park got away with looking like shit because it was pleasantly simplistic and ironic. Irony with effort. It was shit because it was overly and comically simplistic, not shit because it was trying to be grotesque without substance, animation style-wise, not joke-wise. Look at the rodents in Season 1, and look at the rodents like after Season 6. South Park's animation peaked in Season 1, Episode 2, and you cannot convince me otherwise. Like, what the fuck is this Season 27 art direction? Look, I am a diehard South Park fan. I haven't talked about it since, like, 2019, because it's been talked about to death by slop channels.
There's lots of other characters if you don't like the Pixie Sorcerer.
No, there aren't. They're all just the same with different costumes.
But I am also a modern South Park defender. I think it's been super inconsistent the past 15-ish years. I don't hate the new stuff in general, but there is a good side to that coin. I just have to preface this so I don't get yelled at in the comments. But if there is one consistent flaw after Season 4, it's its loss of distinctive visual irony. Even if the show got much smarter, the animation lost a lot of its charm. All of my favorite South Park seasons suffer from it, getting more and more detailed with each season. Is this technically better? Yeah, but should it be? No. What the fuck? Why do they have fur textures? Realistic images of Trump and company don't work as well for visual comedy compared to Saddam Hussein because they're surrounded by far more detailed backgrounds. And I swear this is relevant because Shady's blatant early South Park influence is horribly mischaracterized. The character anatomy isn't simplistic enough to correspond with simplistic movement, because all of the designs are way too goddamn detailed. It doesn't mesh well, it's just broken, and I know that's the joke, but it's poorly executed. There's a huge difference between being lazy and creating the illusion of laziness. South Park got away with looking how it did because it was precise and a joke of an art direction in a stylistic nature. Most of the characters fall under the same anatomical structure, so much of it is incredibly copy-pasted, it's very minimalistic. It dodged an obvious incentive to make every character and environment look completely different. The body anatomy doesn't allow a ton of movement, there's not a ton of facial features, so it doesn't look like shit when they, like, move their eyebrows or extend their arms. It's a precise illusion of laziness, when in reality, keeping track of oversimplified attributes takes serious work. That keeping track of laziness was something the show lost after Season 5, and on 27 is a huge issue. Early South Park got away with this art direction because it's not lazy, it's a funny look for a comedy TV show. The irony is delicious. Irony takes effort. Slim Shady has irony without effort. It's desperately trying to create the illusion of laziness, but creating an illusion ironically requires not being lazy. Being bad on purpose takes work to assure it's enough to be strategically shitty, but still visually pleasant. South Park didn't use scribble scrabble stick figures on purpose. The designs are detailed enough to be minimally animatable. It's a funny art style because there was clearly enough effort in hitting a balance between having movable designs in spite of limited autonomy that others may pass off as bad and inaccurate. If there was no effort in the art direction, it would be paired alongside Family Guy and Family Guy ripoffs for being an adult cartoon with bad animation. 12-ounce Mouse and its uncle Aqua Teen Hunger Force had enough strategy so it gets away with it. It's delicious irony. The irony has effort. It creates the illusion of laziness.
I told you these animation problems are gonna come back. Yeah, I can't tell what most things are supposed to be. At a bare minimum, your animation is supposed to differentiate what everything is.
How do I explain this?
I may as well be hearing a radio
That's the fucking joke, retard! Tim and Eric Awesome Show has enough work to get the point that it's a comedy across and have enough inserts of bad green screen. That's strategy. The Sifl and Ollie Show has enough minimalism in puppetry to get the point across. That's effort.
Precious Roy, making lots of suckers out of girls and boys.
Come to think of it, Slim Shady's animation is kinda like a modern South Park design that's too detailed. And by modern, I mean like season 5 onward. Like, look at Man Bear Pig in season 11 onward. Not a very silly design for a silly creature in a comedy TV show, especially compared to Scuzzlebutt in season 1. Man Bear Pig has a good design, but is contextually inaccurate compared to what it's surrounded by. Imagine this good but inaccurate design is absolute dog shit. That's the Slim Shady Show art style. It's South Park without strategy, and even South Park has forgotten its own strategies over the years. Even though Eminem was apparently worth $2 million in 2000. And for showbiz budgeting, especially animation, budgeting can be expensive, but you're also like the biggest fucking deal in the music scene right now, if not the whole decade. And you know, I get some studios would probably potentially decline making this because, you know, some people don't want to do juvenile productions, trust me, I'd know. But if no actual studio was willing to greenlight an Eminem cartoon, then come on, man, you couldn't just pay out of your own pocket for better animation or people that had distinct visions for irony. You probably make more in a day than most people have ever seen in their entire life. I get that there's a canonically low-class setting, but it cheaped out on ink for the love letter. This is not a few charming crooked teeth, it's fucking Mountain Dew mouth. So this is Eminem's cartoon. Surely a rapper would perform a theme song to a show about a rapper, right?
Slim Shady. Slim Shady.
No, the theme song is just repeating the name Slim Shady. This is hardly a fucking song, it's not even a rap. And by the way, most of the soundtrack is just a fucking 6-second record scratching loop. It gets irritating as all hell and is just lazy from a compositional and production perspective. How was that even possible to fuck up? You figured it would have a cringe rap like Venom, but no, there's no fucking rapping. Despite adapting a fictional universe told in rhythm and poetry, what the fuck? It is incredibly difficult to tell where each story starts and ends. The shorts do have minor continuity, so if you were to binge them, it's kind of like a movie. But this is a formatting disadvantage, so, you know, they don't feel like shorts. If anything, the shorts are too connected, defeating the point of being short-form content. If this wasn't one of the most embarrassing things anyone has ever made, then there would probably be a fan-made movie edit because no such thing exists because it's fucking unwatchable. There's supercuts, but that's a compilation and not a contextual re-edit. The entire show with DVD bonus features is about an hour and 6 minutes, and yes, that show got a DVD release and some faithfully disgusting merchandise.
So let's see what the storylines have to offer.
The first episode is a commentary on South Park. So do they hate South Park?
My favorite episode would probably be the South Park one.
I think all the guys involved are big fans of South Park, and you know, we love the movie and everything like that, but you know, we had to beat the shit out of their characters.
Oh no, wait, the creators love South Park. Oh, okay, maybe it's about like the show's impact, or you know, how people mischaracterize it. You know, they think Cartman's the good guy. Oh no, wait, it's making fun of South Park, but not in a satirical love letter form. There's a difference between a loving jab and then just shitting all over it. Contrary to what soulless South Park video essays uploaded like the night after the episode airs would tell you, South Park is far from a perfect show if you ask me, and I don't think seasons 1 through 4 have aged particularly well besides the animation. Like, they're funny, no doubt, but they're not really smart. Like, yeah, everybody remembers Respect My Authority, like, that's classic, but whose favorite episode is Season 2, Episode 4, Chicken Lover? Nobody's, because Season 2 is easily the worst season from what I can remember. It's been like 10 years, take all my South Park opinions with a grain of salt. I do love Seasons 5 through 14 and the movie, though. And like I said, everything after 2010 has been super inconsistent in quality. It's a complete coin flip, but there's a bright side of the show that keeps me watching all these seasons later. So maybe Slim Shady actually has something to say about the decline of South Park. That could be a loving critique. Oh no, wait, this came out in 2000, the same year as Season 4, which is funny, but not necessarily good the last time I watched it. But Slim Shady is just making fun of South Park for no reason, despite the fact that the creators love South Park. In Season 10 of South Park, there was a duology named Cartoon Wars, which largely targeted Family Guy with allegorical criticisms of the show's writing, which actually makes very strong criticisms about the show's formatting. So yeah, I agree with South Park. Family Guy fucking sucks for the most part, and I won't sugarcoat it. So as someone who has a very mixed opinion on South Park that comes from a place of caring, Slim Shady's commentary on South Park is nothing like South Park's commentary on Family Guy, which I think is a great model for being an animated series dissing your own genre. Oh, hold on, South Park has also commented on The Simpsons before, which was mainly at the expense of Fox running it to the ground, and not really targeted at the show. So that's a loving jab. It comes from a place of caring, encouraging Fox to end the show, because at that point it had like 13 seasons, and what show needs 13 seasons? So I don't know, instead of maybe pointing out flaws with a not perfect show, especially at a time before Season 5, what does Slim Shady have to say about South Park? Well, they don't say anything, they just do some things, including murdering Officer Bar Brady, drugging the protagonist, Marshall fucks Wendy, even though they're children, Kyle rubs his dick on a vinyl record, Chef fucks Leanne, even though that already happens. How's that a joke? A laxative-drugged Cartman takes a shit on Marshall and Wendy as they're fucking. And by the way, they got Wendy's design wrong too. She doesn't have a skirt and she's missing the signature beret. You could tell this wasn't a copyright thing. The rest of the designs are accurate, besides the color of Cartman's house, if we really want to nitpick. Oh, by the way, they stretched the child porn out for as long as possible.
I'm gonna go.
Ah, there she is, Wendy Testicle Burger. Look at those long legs, those curves. Shit, I want a piece.
Oh, you see, we made a character with a comedic last name because it's a comedy TV show sound juvenile, even though her last name isn't Testicle Burger. Laugh! How is this even making fun of South Park? It's just putting familiar characters in crude scenarios.
And speaking of adult cartoons, this is a great example. I don't think there's a better example of an adult cartoon that's made for children and is only legally an adult cartoon. Anyone over the age of 15 would find this juvenile and insulting. Like, if you actually like this show, you probably shouldn't be legally allowed to vote, you fucking pedophile.
The South Park parody is no different than Shady's satirialization of celebrities.
Man, you two suck. Your movies suck, and we all know you shouldn't be movie stars.
No talent, punks. Where's the follow-up script, huh?
Produce this, ass fuck.
The majority of the time, there's zero substantiation and mockery, like they'll just say a stupid thing and then they get beat up by Slim Shady and Big D.
You know what? I saw you in that movie The Beach, biatch, and you suck too, motherfucker. Your acting sucks, and you look like a Titanic bitch. Hey, motherfucker, I'm gonna fuck you up. Ow! Hey, nigga, I'm gonna kick your shit. Oh, ow!
And by the way, it's the same fucking 1940s Looney Tunes animation every time, because it's the same fucking joke every time.
Hey, Neverlast, what happened to House of Shame, huh? Can't jump around with the fucking homies no more, can ya?
Shit! Oh, ow! Fuck you! Ow! Hey, nigga, I'm gonna kick your shit.
Like, how are we supposed to laugh at pointless violence? The show technically did contribute to 2 sagas of public conflict for Marshall Mathers, including his mother Debbie Nelson and pop star Christina Aguilera, except nobody remembers that this show could have played a role in lawsuits because it's such a fucking load of shit that nobody would watch it for long enough to realize that they were mocked in it. The show shoots itself in the foot when making fun of celebrities. There's so little substantiation that it makes Eminem look like the bad guy in a positive bias propaganda piece of his. In 1999, Debbie Nelson / Eminem's mama, who cooked da pasta, filed a $10 million defamation lawsuit against Marshall over the song in My Name Is What Chicka 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 Slim Shady. in which Shady expresses shock over discovering his mother's drug habits. Nelson claiming that the song was both defamatory and created emotional distress, in which the case was settled out of court for $25,000 in 2001. But due to legal fees, Debbie only got about $16,000.
God damn, Deborah, that's like a month's rent.
The lawsuit would further inspire lyrics regarding a damaged relationship as well as reconciliation with his mother. But in the Slim Shady show, the fictional Marshall Mathers lives with his Auntie Sue.
Auntie, where did you put my PlayStation?
God damn it! I told your runt ass it was in the closet.
Who is not explicitly clarified to be Debbie Nelson, likely to avoid potential lawsuits. Oh yeah, don't confuse Auntie Sue with Susan. I thought I initially heard the auntie's name, but no. The Wikipedia, made by some fucking meth head who loves this, took time out of their day to clarify it to me. 100% that there are two characters with some variation of Susan. Who is Susan and who's Sue? Make up your mind. Christina Aguilera has an allegory of Pristina Gagulera. In 1999, Christina Aguilera made a comment disapproving of Eminem's lifestyle. It further escalated into being mentioned on The Real Slim Shady on a verse I don't gotta recite for you. The feud quickly ended, clearly not being worth each other's time, evidenced by Aguilera presenting Mathers with an award at the 2002 MTV Music Video Awards. Speaking of which, the second and third episode, Pristina Gagulera is the focus of. And, oh, what do you know, there's finally some music in a show starring a rapper.
Girl really wants it night and day. Girl really wants it every way. Girl really needs.
And yes, I know it's making fun of bad pop music on purpose, but again, there's no strategy, so it's just bad. It's not delicious irony. My Band by D12, which features Eminem as a member at the time, has select verses dedicated to mocking sellout boy bands, and it's actually listenable, and the best part of the song, Fuck My Salsa, because of it's an intentionally bad song. Making fun of bad pop music while making music is something Eminem is capable of, but here there was just no effort. Any attempt at delicious irony in the show fails miserably, and if you fail at delicious irony, then it's just a pile of hippopotamus diarrhea.
Who's in there?
I don't know, but he's probably famous, so let's blow him, okay?
Okay. Like, all the whores back at high school are gonna be so jealous of us.
Dave, why is it that if more people see your face, like on a magazine or television or something, people think you're like more important all of a sudden?
Yeah.
I mean, what makes one person better than another person just because he's seen by more people?
Uh-huh.
I mean, most of these actors, models, they never went to a top college. They never do anything for anybody.
Yeah.
What about doctors, architects, fine literature? Why don't we value that?
Yeah.
Dave, do you like to suck?
They made a statement about something in a social satire. They actually made a point. It's not just edge without substance. Perhaps this show is just, off to a rough start. Maybe they're actually gonna make statements about things because they're ripping off South Park, and South Park is a social satire.
Damn, man.
Oh no, it's literally followed with fucking child porn. You can't make this shit up, folks.
In the fourth episode, we finally get the first instance of rapping in a rapper cartoon. And it's one of the worst songs in fiction if you can understand it.
Most of these dudes is Johnny Depp's. Good actors, they
Motherfucker! Check it out, trick! You motherfucking bitch! I choke you with a chain! Eat a dick! My style is the best! Big D forever! You fucking motherfucker! You still wearing leather? Nigga, it ain't cold! Motherfucker, stay cold! Wanna fuck with it, can you? And hell no! I'm Big D! I'm from the hood! Bitch, nigga! Fuck nigga, eat wood! I want you to shut the fuck up!
I hate to admit, the episode The Slim Shank Redemption easily clears as the most watchable one because it has the most amount of plot, and it's shocking by comparison to everything else. As the title suggests, the crew gets sent to prison, which features an impersonation of Robert Downey Jr.
Fucking Robert Downey Jr.
Robert Downey Jr. was sentenced to 3 years in prison in 1999 following a 1996 cocaine possession charge. This aged poorly given Mather's near-death prescription drug overdose in 2007, and especially considering Downey's redeemed public image today. Also in the prison episode, we see Eminem, which is the only appearance of Eminem.
Hey, Eminem, who's got the juice now? Yo, I ain't even supposed to be in here yet. I ain't been convicted. I'll see y'all in a minute.
The coexisting adult Marshall Mathers in universe. Slim Shady does do some freestyling while in solitary confinement.
I hate you, I can't stand you. I'll rip your titties off and then I'll hand you your...
Somebody stop me! I'm smoking this crack. Okay, get Lois for some more crack.
Poetry.
Speaking of which, reoccurring collaborator Exhibit also makes a cameo as Knuckles. He is the only other rapper in the show that's at least credited or I can recognize.
Yo, we got real cool when we was in solitary together. Knuckles, you know what you gotta do to be down.
Word up. Kill Del Strawberry.
He has 3 lines of dialogue. That's it. You figured he'd be the voice of Big D, but that would just make too much sense. There's an Ouija board episode, which is just bringing back dead celebrities for shock value. One of which is Kurt Cobain, you know, a fellow recording artist, and they start a band with zombie Kurt Cobain. And you figured it'd be some sort of statement about music, or the music industry, or sell out bands, or have an original song or something. But nope, it's just one bare minimum band jam sequence and Kurt Cobain suicide jokes. Get it? He's a zombie because he died 6 years ago at the time of release. Laugh! They also bring back fashion designer Gianni Versace, and of course there's no commentary on overpriced big-name merchandise popular for hip-hop lyrics. Like, I get he was assassinated like 3 years prior. He was also openly gay, like most male fashion designers if we're being real. Even though we already have tons of lazy gay jokes with one of our main characters. And on top of Ken Kniff's awful usage, there's just a ton of random gay characters. There is such an over-reliance on lazy gay jokes. Like, I guess they satirize, like, fashion on reality TV, which I'm pretty sure doesn't require an Ouija board / rock band plotline to make a story out of. Why are these 3 things combined?
Come on, baby. There's gotta be a reason why you're married to John Stamos. Yo, he's got a big-ass dick, don't he? Big dick. Where?
Hey, baby.
Yo, John Stamos, you ain't shit. And Full House was cold trash.
All you did was call Full House bad and not actually make fun of it, and that's a very overdone parody, well, because it is bad. But just calling a guy's show bad isn't a fucking punchline. It needs to be substantiated. 95% of the celebrity jokes are, you think fucking sucks, fuck you! And what's the conflict resolution to bringing back Kurt Cobain and Gianni Versace? Nothing, because there's barely even a conflict. They just fuck the Olsen twins.
Yo, you got a point there, Stamos. Yo, you think you can hook me up with those twins? You know, them little girls? Yo, they look bad as fuck nowadays.
Of course I can. They're total whores.
Damn, suck this cock, ho!
Oh, by the way, they were roughly 14 years old in 2000.
Wow, I love Mary-Kate and Ashley. They're the best. Yeah, I was wondering if I could call the Real Doll Company and get real dolls made up of Mary, Kate, and what's the other one's name?
Ashley?
Ashley?
like how they are nowadays or when they were young?
Yeah, I'm gonna leave that up to you to figure it out.
Like, where's the fucking rising action? This is a show with stories. I need to know what happens in the beginning, middle, and end. I see exposition of dead celebrity jokes, but no, it's not resolved. How do you fuck up second grade level storytelling this badly? This was written by adults! There's an episode where Shady and company are trying to help Marshall lose his virginity. And by the way, there's continuity between these shorts, and he literally does that in the pilot episode. So I guess the show ignores its continuity of child porn when it's convenient for the plot. Man, it's almost like you'd have to be one sick bastard to put child porn of yourself in your show and nobody laughed at it because subsequently nobody bothered to remember of it because that's fucking vile. But don't worry, we have another whore wanting to fuck a child, and of course there's no actual statement of girls being pedophiles too. The whole crew also does a bunch of mushrooms, and we're supposed to laugh at the fact that Marshall Mathers doesn't want to get molested. And whoa, yeah, hallucinogenic drugs causing hallucinations. That's an original joke. By far the worst episode is the Scooby-Doo parody episode. Much like the franchise itself and rants about how the Velma show sucks, Scooby-Doo parodies are just completely overdone. Oh no, wait, I don't think this episode even qualifies as a Scooby-Doo parody. It just has Scooby-Doo's depiction of public domain villain Mr. Hyde, who is just the janitor at the gang's school. The whole joke is like, laugh, look at this random fucking Scooby-Doo villain that just exists. You know, which you might vaguely recognize if you saw the original Scooby-Doo Where Are You, parentheses, 1969 series back in the day. Like, I don't think I've ever seen a worse parody antagonist in my entire life. So, Mr. Hyde blackmails the crew because he witnessed them slaughter a bunch of baby farm animals from Dave's farm that he lives on and is only confirmed through this gag. And Dave's parents are also the couple from the painting American Gothic by Grant Wood, because I guess that's public domain too. And how do they slaughter a bunch of animals? Well, there's an escalator in the public school? But no, this story is actually told in the past tense by the teacher, Miss Werner. But if the people who murdered the animals weren't caught, then like, how are you fucking claiming that Dave and the crew murdered a bunch of animals? And it's not like Mr. Hyde gets a chance to snitch to American Gothic couple / Dave's parents, and they're not even trying to do like a pointless school shooting for shock value. It's just school shooting for no reason. No child actually gets shot for shits and giggles. They couldn't even do the bare minimum with lazy school shooting humor. And of course, the Scooby-Doo villain trying to pull off a school shooting is also gay.
No, I only want to play board games, please.
Hey yo, did this show predict Janitor Poopatine from Fanboy and Chum Chum? It's the same joke of an irrelevant parody character who is just casually the janitor for no reason and isn't funny because it's just random. Which I know isn't supposed to be questioned, but it's also not funny either. Slim Shady takes the mask off Mr. Hyde and it's actually Miss Werner all along.
Alright, this shit is getting too weird. Let's end this Scooby-Doo style. Let's see who Janitor Jones really is. Tom Cruise? No, wait. Miss Werner, the teacher. But then who's telling the story to Dave's parents?
And it wasn't Miss Werner telling the story, it was Osama bin Laden?
What were you expecting? Saddam Hussein?
I guess this episode came out after 9/11, but why is Bin Laden impersonating the teacher? What the fuck does Bin Laden have to do with anything? Like, how do you fuck up a Scooby-Doo, I think, parody this badly? It's an incredibly formulaic franchise. The story beats to spoof should be this obvious.
Scooby-Dooby-Doo, took a poo. Shaggy thought it was chocolate. Shaggy took a bite and turned out white. That's the end of Shaggy.
In the very last episode, there is one commendable reference to rap group D12 being the name of a 7-Eleven parody. Speaking of which, there is an ahead-of-its-time parody of 21 Jump Street, featuring Screech from Saved by the Bell being an undercover cop. And you know what? The concept of combining 21 Jump Street with Saved by the Bell is actually a pretty good idea. In Jump Street, undercover cops impersonate teenagers for drug busts and whatnot.
But most of these dudes is Johnny Depp's good actors.
Most people my age would recognize its kind of parody reboot, but not the actual show. And Saved by the Bell, just like most media of the era starring teenagers, are played by adults, so it's comically noticeable that they aren't teenagers. There is an idea for a joke here, but you have to do the detective work yourself. Like, it should be funny whether you do or do not know what these things are. Like, when I was 9 years old and didn't know that the Simpsons episode Cape Fear was a parody of Cape Fear, I was still laughing my ass off anyway. Good parodies casually repurpose. Recognizing the spoof should be second. Why is iconography favored over laughs? The jokes don't land because nothing is repurposed beyond iconography, which just looks like shit.
Yes, and I think that selling mushrooms that grow in your bathroom at a bake sale is not nice.
Just shut the fuck up! You want to see dead people? Here you go.
And how are we supposed to laugh at child murder in broad daylight with zero severity? Look at the fucking chef hats on the characters. Like, look at the fucking disproportion. Look how little of a shit they gave. This whole fucking frame shums up the show's art direction perfectly. There's also a canceled episode which did eventually get released, acknowledging its scrapped basis. It just consists of Marshall and Dave arguing with his auntie, with like one scene of Slim arguing to the police. And it's likely that this plotline was repurposed for the Pristina Gagulera duology, which provides the same setup of going to a gay monster truck rally. I didn't mention it, it's not relevant, it's just filler. So elements of this non-canonical canceled episode were presumably repurposed in the second and third episode. The Slim Shady show was canceled by Shady World Productions after less of an hour worth of episodes. Oh no, wait, hold on. That's a company that's managed by Eminem and Paul Rosenberg. It was presumably a canned project because they knew they fucked up and it just wasn't viable because they didn't try in the first place. But it is possible that it raised the bar for animated Eminem media, such as the Shake That featuring Nate Dogg music video. Look at the fucking outlines. This looks like an actual fucking show. It's not the most comparable because it's not trying to be ironic, but hey, Eminem and company actually spent money on animation. You see what happens when you dump more than 4 hours pay into your entire animated project and don't try to make it a shit post when you have no understanding of visual irony because you're a recording artist?
As far as I know, it's the worst goddamn cartoon ever made. Somebody this famous giving so little of a shit is just that insulting. And it's this bad, too. But hey, it raised the bar for Eminem animated media.
So I guess the moral of the story is, if you're rich as fuck and you want to make a cartoon, spend necessary money that you clearly have. But hey, Mark Brooks did eventually move on and get his own animated project off the ground. The direct-to-video animated movie, Little Pimp. Which isn't a piece of Eminem media, but when the hell am I ever going to talk about this? It's also an animated white boys in the hood story, and it doesn't have a dogshit art style. This cartoon is actually cartoonish. Fuck yeah. Simple shapes and size 20 outlines. Most of the promotional material is super misleading. The pimp on the cover isn't actually the protagonist, he's the mentor Fruit Juice who trains Lil Pimp. Little Pimp is just an alias. This hustler's legal name is never revealed. Apparently, the film was actually meant for theaters, but test audiences hated it so much that Sony, who I imagine had the distribution rights, dropped it from their intended theatrical lineup for 2003, with the project eventually releasing in 2005 by Lionsgate Home Entertainment, the same company that distributed Gummy Bear in the Yummy Gummy Search for Santa, so that's a green flag. Now, Sony is probably the biggest animation company that occasionally distributes or makes a PG-13 or R-rated animated film. All jokes aside, part of me thinks 8 Crazy Nights underperforming at the box office in 2002 might have been influential for Sony not distributing or making another PG-13 or R-rated animated movie until Sausage Party in 2016.
Right out of your fucking dingle.
Did you hear what he just said? Am I watching Sausage Party or am I watching hentai?
And Sony Pictures Animation made 2025's Fixed, which was distributed by Netflix, but hey, that's still technically Sony and R-rated. And what do you know? 8 Crazy Nights was also in theaters the same holiday season as 8 Mile, coincidentally enough. So maybe 8 Mile killed Little Pimp's chances at a theatrical release from Sony's prior lost interest in adult animated movies, at least for the moment. Oh yeah, the actual movie. Little Pimp isn't the worst thing ever. But I'm not gonna act like it wasn't a bad move for it to not get a theatrical release. Like, this is pure $7 DVD you'd get at the Record Exchange in 2009 core. You know how people are like, this looks like a fake show you'd see on the TV in GTA? Yeah, this is one of those, except it's nowhere near as bad as other things it could be compared to fictional properties within the Grand Theft Auto universe. It definitely has that fraudulent and surrealist mentality regardless of quality. It's actually actual grander purpose being a throwback to the 70s blaxploitation in a 2000s cartoon animated form. And hey, it has a point to exist. It follows a little red-haired boy who acquires the alias Little Pimp, in which he learns to start how to be Big Pimpin' and subsequently save his local nightclub from being destroyed by the mayor, who wants to abuse his government affiliation to rock a monopoly on local pimpin'. So it's the Mac and the Karate Kid and a Save the Rec Center story, but a parody. Little Pimp initially has no friends besides his talking pet gerbil Weathers. It's a harmless R-rated animated comedy, but there's really not much of a reason to watch it today. Like, you were supposed to watch this one time in 2000-something because your friend had it. And you know, it's like 5 in the morning, sleepover's up, we all gotta crash on the living room couch, just put on some random bullshit that's edgy, fuck it. Weathers is voiced by Ludacris, and Ludacris is probably the funniest mainstream rapper in my opinion, to my knowledge. And Ludacris does an alright job, but some of the one-liners do not land. Speaking of other hip-hop credits, Lil' Kim plays the main hooker, and Big Boy and Mystical play secondary pimps. And Big Boy's name is spelled wrong in the credits. And the late Rudy Ray Moore himself, the king of pimpin' on the silver screen, also cameos as a pimp clothing salesman. The late Bernie Mac as Fruit Juice and William Shatner as the main villain also do a great job. And, you know, you can't have a black cartoon cast without Keith Michael Richardson killing it per usual. Cleveland Jr. is in the motherfucking house. And Mark Brooks, of all people, played Little Pimp. And even if the jokes don't always land, some of the voice acting is fantastic. With intro and credits, the whole thing is only like an hour and 13 minutes, so it's barely feature length, but I think it could have worked better with a quicker paced, like 45-minute throwback to old school after-school specials, since it is parodying 70s media to an extent at the end of the day. In terms of pacing, it kind of reminds me of the Simpsons movie or A Boy Named Charlie Brown, where, yeah, they're good movies, but there's just a little too much exposition in the first act. But unlike those two, I don't really recommend Little Pimp, regardless of the fact that the first act just goes on for a little too long. It is kinda desperate to get to that 1 hour, 13-minute mark, which was likely an incentive created by Sony's initial distribution agreements. If those are even true, that could be bullshit. There's an idea here, and there is some good jokes, but the writing is really where it just falls flat. One aspect of the world building I really admire is that the white suburbs are like comically 50s, but the black ghetto is comically 70s. It's a neat discrepancy to have different decades represent different social classes. It's over the top and works enough because it's a cartoon. And thankfully, Little Pimp's innocence never comes off as pedophilic, a trap it easily could have fallen into, just like the Slim Shady show. Like, obviously, a child is in proximity to pimps and hoes, but there's no real child porn in it. It doesn't taste disgusting. The hustlers in the universe aren't exactly valued as good people in this plotline. The whole thing is similar to the South Park Season 13 episode Butter's Bottom Bitch, which had a similar joke of an innocent child mischaracterizing prostitution. That type of joke was executed much better there, even if it has a completely different narrative purpose, Butter's Bottom Bitch not being an old school blaxploitation throwback.
This is a movie that's like on the cult classic shelf. It isn't a cult classic. It kind of has the vibe of it, but it really isn't one. But, you know, it just kind of got on the shelf anyway for some reason. You know, this is a movie I've known about for like 5 years, and, you know, I've been meaning to get to it forever. And, you know, I was obsessed with Rudy Ray Moore in my teen years, so it's not like I'm the wrong person for it. I do like the genre. I do like what it's portraying and homaging and whatnot. Hey, it's not fantastic, but it has an actual idea, unlike the Slim Shady show. Definitely one of the animated movies of all time. This is like 4 people's favorite movie, probably. If you think you could be the 5th person, then go watch this immediately. It's free on YouTube.
Hey, motherfucker, I'm gonna fuck you up. Ow! Hey, nigga, I'm gonna kick you. Shit! Ow! Ow! Beat you up.
Game like this. Cause I'm about the bitches and you're about the snitches. And when I get arousal, my pants needs the stitches. Hey! Cause I got my camel toe for you, ho.
What is that?
Don't you ever mess with me, bro. And if I ever see you stepping to me, I'm gonna whip out my ding-a-ling. Yes, that's my thing. Peace out. I'm Juicy Broads for life.